Randi Noble. I am the founder of Yellowfinch Images. I was born and raised in Lloydminster. I'm a member of the Onion Lake Cree Nation. That is where my mom was from, and I am very proud about that.
How long have you been practicing photography for?
I started when I was in high school. My friend and I did a photography course together, and I've kind of been dabbling in it ever since. Like, I was always a girl hanging out with my friends on the weekends with a disposable camera in their face, and it was super annoying, I'm sure, for all of them. But I started my business after my mom passed away. I started my actual business after she passed away, but I had been doing like photo sessions if my son is 16 years.
Have you watched your work evolve through that time?
Yeah. Did my friend's maternity photos. I was also pregnant, and I look at hers, and it's like so terrible. Just flash photography with my first little digital camera, like just like not even a big, like, yeah, it was funny.
Do you have a favorite like session you've done or a favorite piece?
Any of the Powwow images I just love. I honestly, my grad sessions are some of my favorites. I love the ones I did with my niece Addison last year, just because she's so special to me. But yeah, just portraits, and I love catching people as they're visiting and kind of not expecting to have their photo taken. Like, if I could do that, a little like hang out at somebody's family reunion or birthday parties or whatever, I think I would do that and enjoy that a lot.
How are weddings to do?
Weddings are a lot of work. I don't mind doing them, but I am stopping doing them. I love the day. I love hanging out with the bride and groom. I've been really lucky with really awesome clients that way. It's the hours and hours and weeks afterwards where I'm still full out doing like grad and family and maternity or engagement photos that I find I can't keep up with the editing. And I'm too much of a control freak to hire out my editing. So I'm gonna stop weddings.
Take a step back.
Yeah, take a step back for a while.
So how did you? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
How did you get involved with the mural?
Brandi messaged me after I made a Facebook post of my Powwow images, and she said, "Your photography is so inspiring, Randi, and I'm working on this project, and I'm wondering if you would like to have a couple of your images used." And I was like, absolutely. So I sent her the gallery, and she went through and had a comment for every photo, and it was so awesome. I was like, she's gonna have such a hard time choosing. And then she chose Tishala Badger from Cahuan and young Jateras, who is actually from, easiest way to say is Chittick Lake area. But her mom is Janelle Bird from Onion Lake, so it was cool to have that kind of Onion Lake connection for me. And a few weeks went by, and Brandi called me back, and she's like, "So yes, here's the pictures that I'm going to use, but how do you feel about actually helping me with this whole project? Like, I'm looking for like a project manager or like somebody to just step up and help me." I was like, absolutely, I can do that, and I will connect you with some people who can help us. So Clint Chokin, who you met earlier, helped us and just guided us along the way. And I had an elder come and smudge the whole building for us, and he was my mom's medicine man when she was ill, and so it was really special to have him involved. And yeah,
Really was a community effort.
It's a huge community effort, and you know, my cousin Daryl Carter, Onion Lake Enterprises they have Beretta Pipeline, and Daryl Carter is over there, and I messaged him. It's like, hey, I'm doing a mural. It's gonna be ridiculously huge, like 3,000 square feet, and 22 feet high. So I need help. How would you like to be involved? And he said, I can get you like scissor lifts, like, so we had to get certified for those, and Beretta covered the cost of those, like renting it for us, and it was amazing, like just a gift in kind.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, so to have that support was incredible. That was a big cost, so it was good.
What's the title of the mural?
It's called Choose Love and Join Hands in Truth and Reconciliation.
What does that mean to you?
exactly what it was when we were painting it and working on it for the last 2 weeks. I don't think it's easy to explain in words, but it was the experience of it all. It was bystanders walking by. We had friends of mine, like social media friends or followers, who were following along and seeing our stories and keeping in touch and up to date with what was happening. And the one gal had a visitor from Czech Republic and brought them to the site to be like, this is a part of history in our community, it's incredible and you have to see it, and you're from Czech. Like, it was just so cool. Passers-by would stop. We had people from all walks of life come. One gentleman came, he was not having a good time. He had been in town looking for his sister who's been missing for a couple weeks at that point, and he wasn't getting anywhere, and he was sad and he was angry and he was frustrated. And him and I sat with him for 45 minutes and we just talked. And I offered him a smudge. We smudged every morning before we started the project. So I offered him a smudge, and then he just released, and we just talked and connected. And he said, if I didn't see this artwork, like, it spoke to me, it told me to keep going, which is huge. Like, I don't know, it just has such an impact that you don't even realize it until somebody walks up to you and says, like, they were on their last day potentially, and that artwork told them to keep going. So that was pretty beautiful. Heartbreaking and beautiful. And I ended up giving him some sweetgrass that had an extra braid, and he said he had been looking for it for so long, like he wanted some, so it was awesome.
It's crazy amount of coincidence all in.
A lot of, some call it divine timing, but it was just meant to be, I think.
If you could pick your favorite part of the whole experience, what would you choose?
The interaction with community, there wasn't a single negative comment about the whole thing, and it was just beautiful. What you experience in your heart when you're working on something like that is awesome. Like, you're doing it for the good of the community, you're doing it to honor your roots, to honor your mom, to honor your kids, your grandma, like everything. It was just, My cousin showed up and she rolled. We were giving people the opportunity to come and just grab a roller and just help us. And people cried as they did it. And you feel like you're valued when you get to do something like that. Your hands are on the wall. So that's why in September we're gonna have a ceremony where we can put our hands on the wall. So.
Do you see yourself getting involved with another project like this in the future?
I don't think I have a choice at this point. I think I have to. It's feeding my soul. Like, it's good to do. So, I got to reconnect with a lot of people from the community too, like from Onion Lake community, talking about it with them and that. So, I'm on a journey to really reconnect and get back there. So.
Do you have advice for any Indigenous who are reconnecting?
Just take it one day at a time. When you're afraid and you feel like, I don't know enough, or I'm gonna mess up, I'm gonna do it wrong. You're not. In the Indigenous culture, you're never chastised, you're never scolded. Nobody gets mad at you for making a mistake, especially if they're an elder and they just tell you a story and they teach you and they walk with you and you learn that way, right? So just be gentle with yourself. Like, we weren't raised in ceremony, and I've just started going to ceremony, like, after my mom passed away even, so that's been 8 years, so we're all just learning as we go and reconnecting. So don't be afraid, just do it.
How has that impacted your cultural identity?
The cultural identity for me has always been such a weird thing, because I'm from a family of 4. My brothers are both very dark, like gorgeous skin. My sister and I we are white presenting. And you're Indigenous, you're very well aware of it, but when you're out in public, people don't know that you are. And so when I go to the powwow and that, now I feel like I belong there, because I know everybody's welcome, period. It doesn't matter your race, you're welcome there. But with my family all learning to reconnect in the last 20 years especially, it's just been more like a warm hug. It just feels really good to go back to my roots and learn more about it and dive into ceremony and try. And I don't get to do it often enough, but I'm trying my best.
It's awesome. How important is it to have communities set aside that space for Indigenous representation and art like that?
Oh, it's like so important. The representation is such a huge thing. There were little kids going by in vehicles who were just gazing up at these two young girls who look like them. And they were like, "Mom, look!" And then taking pictures, and yeah, it was beautiful. And I think that if you give somebody that glimpse of like themselves out there, like on a wall, like on a 3,000 square foot mural, they feel honored, they feel valued, they feel like they're okay to be here. It's on a north wall, because it represents a lot of things in the Indigenous culture. But the biggest thing that I take from that is that years ago, not that long ago though, because my grandfather had to do this, there was an Indian camp set up on the north side of Lloyd by the fast gas station, that area. And Clint will tell this story too. Any members from the reserves and the northern communities that were coming into Lloydminster for supplies had to stop and check in with the Indian agent. Get their names written down. Why are you here? What are you doing? When are you leaving? And then if you didn't leave when you said you would be arrested. So a lot of my family members and friends from Onion Lake, especially the ones who are darker in skin, come to Lloyd and they just feel like it's a little off-putting for them. They just want to come into town and get their supplies, but they face a lot of, like, there is racism here. It's not even that it's in-your-face racism. My girlfriend Carmen was grocery shopping at Christmas time and was being watched by people who got darker skin. And it's like, my one friend said, when I go to town and I buy something, I hold my receipt in my hand as I'm leaving the store, so it's like proof that I've purchased this. They feel like there's eyes on them. It's just a little off-putting. It's not a warm and fuzzy feeling coming here. So having this huge 3,000 square foot mural that represents the Indigenous culture and Métis nations is like beautiful. And hopefully it warms that experience for people a bit, and on both sides, because Truth and Reconciliation is a two-way street. I don't think it's a one-way street. So yeah, it's just giving non-Indigenous people a conversational piece to start talking and learning, and Indigenous people to start sharing, learning, and growing as well.
Thank you. No, it sounds like the whole project itself has done a really good job to make sure that an Indigenous voice was heard in the whole creative process. Yeah, we consulted with the Heart of Treaty 6 reconciliation group here in Lloydminster, and Clint Chokin is a part of that. Yeah, we wanted to make sure we were honoring Treaty 6 land, right? That whole piece is it's a land acknowledgement, yes, but it's also just a like welcome here, welcome home. You're still here. Like, it's just beautiful. Home Hardware was our paint sponsor for the project, and they stepped up immediately as soon as there was talk about it. They're like, we have paint, we're gonna do the paint. Windsor Plywood was helpful as well. Synovus was a pretty big sponsor. We had General Fence, donated fence. We had Keen Development jumped in and primed the whole surface for us. BioClean Disaster Services helped. They cleaned the wall, because as you can imagine, it's like not clean, it's outside. Like, it's already getting kind of dirty, all the dust on that outer layer. One thing about Lloydminster is that we're a small town with big city mentality, but like so much heart. We're one of the top places in Canada to start a business. So our entrepreneurial spirit is huge. We band together.
if there's a family who's in need of financial help, you will just see individuals help. You'll see the businesses jump in and help as well, which is amazing. And there's certain ones that you just know, no matter what, are gonna show up. So our community here is fantastic, and I love it. Like I love it. I want to raise my kids here. I love Lloydminster. So.
How has your experience as an Indigenous woman, as an entrepreneur, been?
Oh, it's been good. Yeah, I love photography, so I feel like no matter the color of my skin, that's what I would have done. I haven't dove into getting grants or anything for my business. I just have been plugging along and doing it on my own, which I'm happy to do.
Do you have any advice for other Indigenous women looking to become an entrepreneur?
Oh, just dive in. Just go. If it scares you, good. I had no idea where to start. I was like, okay, I like photography. I think I'm good at it. And it's challenging, and it's something I look forward to doing. So I spent a lot of money and bought my first camera. Yeah, and I just started going, and then like Lloydminster, you can start a business and you're going to do well because it's such a tight-knit community, so that part's been good. Yeah, just do it. That's all I have to say.
What other ways are you involved in the community here?
Oh, I'm involved through my work. I work at Red Bicycle Communications. We do a tourism guide called Discover Lloydminster. So I'm out and about in the community working with our members to help promote their businesses, promote local attractions, everything like that. The shopping, the food, the events, anything to do with Lloydminster. So I'm kind of all over all the time. I like to show up at events. Like Onion Lake, we got bison up there on the reserve in 2021, was it? And there was a ceremony and we released the bison onto the land, and it was amazing and it was incredible. And I took my camera, and it was like February, it was cold, there was drummers, there was ceremony, it was gorgeous. Released the bison, they just took off and ran, and I snapped a whole bunch of pictures, and like Onion Lake has that on their Facebook page. Like when I posted that to my social media and tagged Onion Lake, I had like 400 shares on it. People were making that picture their like profile picture or their cover photo on there. Like it was just so cool. Yeah.
So the community must have been just ecstatic to have that.
Yeah. Yeah, my auntie runs the thrift store up there, and they had these 2 old windows on the building that needed to be kind of filled in. And so we got a big print made of this photo, and it was just gorgeous. Like it looks so beautiful. I love it.
Show us after.
Yeah, I will. It is actually, if we're talking about one of my favorite photos, that one is one of my favorite photos.
Is that the first time bison have been in the area since the whole like slaughter?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Like on Onion Lake land, yes. There are bison farmers in the area, but those ones are strictly by Onion Lake, and they're to educate. Like they had a bison hunt here in the spring. And so they fed the community. They like taught people how to skin them and everything. Like it was a teaching. It was awesome.
holy cow.
Yeah, and that was the whole point of it. It was for tourism, for education, and for food stability.
That's insane. No, that's awesome. Because cows, man, they're not.
I know.
Just,
I know. There's Home Hardware brought us some snacks. They're Métis owned.
are they really?
Super cool.
Awesome.
The Verka family is awesome. And you would think it is just a hardware building, but it's not. You go inside, there's a cafe. There's a timber cafe as well. It's amazing food. They sell clothing. They sell like snacky food in there, but then food to order and eat. And then they have a beautiful patio out there. Like it's incredible. And in the fall, they light the fire and you just sit out there and it's awesome. And they have greenhouses. So they brought us snacks. And it's an indigenous brand, Mitsu it's called because it's Cree. And it was bison jerky with blueberries. There was 5 ingredients, and it was amazing. It was so good. And I was just like, I want to just eat bison all the time.
Bison burgers go crazy.
Yeah, the diner here in Lloydminster has bison burgers. Yeah.
Have you ever had muskox?
No. There was a soul guy that had muskox in Frenchman Butte. Not a fan over there.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, I don't think she's ever had like wild bison.
Oh.
So it's probably like the closest to wild bison. It's they're thick. They're muskox.
They're thick.
Yeah.
They're juicy.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding. It's probably lean meat if it's wild, right? But
No, I gotta go home. That'd be like home, like.
yeah, up north. Yeah, that's so funny. I went up to Yellowknife a couple years ago. It was cool.
How'd you like it?
It was awesome. I was like, man, these trees are short.
Yeah.
Real rocky.
It is.
Yeah, I went in April, so I didn't get to see like the northern lights, but I see them here. I photograph them here. So, after my mom passed away, I just had like this. You're super lost, right? You're like tethered to the soul, and then suddenly they're gone, and you feel like you're kind of just floating around and not tethered, not grounded, not anything. So, I was like, what would mom tell me to do? She would tell me to pursue something that I love, which she always wanted me to sing, because I was a singer. My sister and I sang for years, but I'm artistic and I like to be creative in that way, but I was like, well, I just love photography. So I knew that mom would just push me hard to go and do photography if that's what I wanted to do. So I was sitting at our farm. It overlooked the North Saskatchewan River, and I was sitting there in the morning having coffee by the tree and by the big rock, just looking down at the river, and I was like, okay, mom, if I'm gonna start photography, like, what am I gonna name it? Like Randi Noble photography? Like, no. So I didn't like that. I didn't, right? Like, it didn't have like a ring to it. Anyways, all these little goldfinch birds came and just flew and landed in the tree. Right above me, where I like, and it was right above me where I was sitting, and my dog Huxley was beside me, and he was just hanging out, and I was like, look at those finches. But I didn't like how goldfinch sounds, so I said yellowfinch images, and that's how I chose it. Just kind of came to me with a morning coffee. But to like set up your Facebook page and type in yellowfinch images and sit there, and like then hit like return on it, I was like, oh, is that gonna be my name? But it is. It feels good. And like when I was at the powwow, and this girl's looking at me, and I'm in like, and she's like, are you that Yellowfinch Images girl? It's like, yes, I am. Like, I'm Randi. And then I did a wedding for Francis and Sylvia Dufresne, Sylvia Patagon, their wedding, and another girl said that to me too, and I was like, this is awesome. I like that I'm getting recognized as the Yellowfinch Images girl.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's so wild getting recognized for your work, eh?
It's so wild getting recognized for your work, because you're like, people like it and they remember it, and then they follow it, and then they're like interested, and they're talking about you to other people, and you're just getting more and more referrals. And like last year I did 29 grad sessions. But it was incredible, and I had to cut it down this year because I had 2 full weeks of painting a mural with a wedding in between there. But I had to cut it down because I was just like, I was limping along in the summertime. I feel very energized in my grad sessions. I energize when I'm editing, but when you're working and doing that and momming and trying to have summer, like, it was just a lot.
It's a lot of time in the sun.
I loved it. Put me in the sun.
It's a lot
Yeah.
of time in the sun.
Yeah. Next year I need to what I want to do is, I mentioned this with my friend Trista Cook. I said it to her a couple of years ago, but we didn't really plan anything. She does makeup at Onion Lake on grad day. She just sets up chairs. She gets some people that she's taught her makeup courses to. She'll set them up in the school, and she's like, grad makeup, come and get it done if you want it. So they go and do that. So I would like to partner with her and do like grad photos up there as well. Like that day, just rattle them all off. Just like somebody, maybe they would only get like 5 pictures or something, but like do that. I want to give back to Onion Lake because like that's where my mom is from, and that's where my roots are. And yeah, I just want to, everything I do, I want to honor my mom. That's basically it.
It's a beautiful driving force.
Yeah, I think that's why things align and things work out. And I think that if you start a business or start even your healing journey, if you have the good intentions and a good driving force like that, then it's gonna just come easy. It's not going to always be easy, but things will always align and it'll be a really beautiful thing.
It's really cool how you keep getting these little reminders that you're going down the right path.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. It happens in my grad sessions all the time.
Really?
But it doesn't only happen for me, it happens for my clients. Grad session I did last year had one of those signs in it where you knew you were on the right path. And it connected to me and it connected to my clients. The grad was walking down this path, we were just taking pictures, laughing, visiting as we were going. And I had her do a spin and she tripped on something. She was wearing cowboy boots and something like caught her foot and tripped her. And she almost fell over and her dress like snagged and we were like, oh no. So I went over there and I grabbed her dress off of whatever was snagging. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's keys. Like there's keys in the ground. And the dad was like, are they whatever keys? And I picked them up and he just grabbed them and he like lost his breath. And he said, these are my dad's keys. My dad passed away X number of years ago. He lost these keys when he was quadding. And he told me the story. He remembers his dad always had his keys in his back pocket. And he got on the quad and he lost his keys. And they looked for those keys up and down that path forever. And then for her to be walking, and then he was like in tears. So I took a picture of him holding the keys up and he had tears in his eyes. And it was really cool. But his dad was a prankster and joked around and he would have tripped the girl as she was walking in her pretty grad dress. Like he was a funny guy like that. So the fact that that happened, just like we were all shook. Like I was crying. I always cry in my sessions. Like there's always some beautiful sign from somebody who has passed on and it just, like I cry. I'm weepy.
That's good though. That's crazy. I don't know. I think I'd be a little spooked. I would be shook.
Yeah.
I'd be a little...
Yeah. My niece's grad session last year, she wanted to come to my house and get a picture with my corgi. And my sister-in-law's father passed away, so her grandpa on that side passed away, and my mom passed away. And I just said to her, there's gonna be pictures where they're gonna show themselves in the pictures somehow, believe me. And so I did this one photo of her in a doorway, and it wasn't backlit or anything, because you know with photography you can get the sun flares and you can work with them and that, but she had this big, like the orbs, it was just beautiful, big orb here and a big orb here. And I was like, we weren't even shooting in direct sunlight, like I don't know how, but I know, like, I don't know, I believe that it was my mom and her grandpa, but when we went to my house, I said to her, when we go and take a picture with the corgi, I'm like, guaranteed we're gonna see mom. And my mom always shows up as the eagle, always. And we went into my yard and there she was sitting in the tree, the eagle. And I was like, there she is, like, look at her.
Wow.
So anytime that I was making choices or doing things or asking mom for help and it was a go, the eagle showed up. And my Cree name is Calling Eagle, which is super cool too.
I'm getting mind blown over here.
I know, I can totally blow your mind.
I'm still on the cowboy, like the boots and the keys. And
Oh
all
yeah,
this.
no, like I'm serious. There's story after story after story after story. My brother teases me a little. He's like, "You really look for these things, though." I was like, "Yeah, I look for the things.
The things.
I do. I look for the signs. I will forever look for signs from my mom, forever."
They keep showing up.
Yeah.
That's crazy. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. If you want to do something you love, and it's scary, but you gotta just put yourself out there and show up authentically you. And it's always a term that is thrown around so much. Be authentic, but like, don't change who you are. Like when this me is this me at work, it's this me when I'm shooting a wedding, it's this me. Like I'm the same no matter where I am, and yeah, I think that that's the key to success and building good relationships with people is just show up as you and no one else.
It can be hard to find.
Yeah.
I agree a lot with that.
Yeah, it's hard to find. And like have boundaries. Like don't do things for people that you wouldn't want to do for yourself or you know what I mean? Like I don't know, you just gotta.
Boundaries can be tough.
Yeah,
They're important.
they're so important.
Do you have a hard time with it, with like photography at the start?
With boundaries? It's hard because I am a fully involved parent. I want to be at all of my kids' everything all the time. So my kids are older now, and so I have a little more lenience with not rushing home from work after, like, I can come and do something like this. And they're very understanding because they knew that this interview was important for me to go to, and I'm like, I'll be home late, like after supper, we'll figure out supper when I get home, or you can make pasta. But like, if I don't have boundaries and say no to people, or I block off time in my calendar, then I will shoot 29 grad sessions and not see my kids. So I have to be strict that way, which I'm not great at still.
Oh, okay. The boundaries with yourself.
Oh, boundaries with myself, expectations with clients. Like if they message me and they're like, so what is your session? I tell them what the fee is, I tell them what they're included, and you get up to X number of hours, and that's it. Like you can have your family, extended family, grandparents, and a special friend. That's what I do for my grad sessions. It's an example. I'm strict. The boundaries, I think, just are set naturally with me because I'm not going to be replying to people at 10 o'clock at night, or like just because we're so available on our phones. Like I can't do that. I try to do it in the morning or in the evening after I'm done my other job.
I have such a hard time with that. I'll forget. I'll reply in my head, like say what I want to say,
Yeah.
and then I won't actually send it, and then I'll forget. So I do that all the time, but
Yeah.
it's a bad habit of mine.
Well, we're such a go world, and it's like, can't we just not for a minute, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's slow down a bit and let's just do more of this, less of the cell phone.
Yeah. How do you share your story and your work? That's awesome though. I'm thinking of that'd be so crazy to have that happen all the time though. I don't know what I do.
It's so consistent. Like, I have so many stories, and I'm just like, no one's gonna believe it. But we know what happened, and then I take the picture, like the guy, like, oh yeah, it's just wild. And like everyone cried, and it was like such a beautiful raw moment, and I was just like, click, 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 click. But they will always show up. So, I don't know.
I bet they appreciate like those photos too of the moment just as much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's a story, right? Like, and yeah, I don't know. One day all we have is pictures. Well, that's all we have is pictures, and we might not even have our memory.
Yeah. You know, after working through this project with the mural, what are some ways that other non-Indigenous organizations can improve creating space for Indigenous voices and stories and artists?
Just reach out to Indigenous people, Indigenous creators, and we have so many resources in Lloydminster and area. So attend events, go to a reserve, go get your gas there, go buy a bag of chips, go do something at the reserve, attend an event, like they have so many hockey games. I mean, like, their sports are awesome up there. Don't be afraid to just go and fully immerse yourself in the community and get to know people.
It's only like 20 minutes away too.
Yeah, it's not a hard drive at all, and
No.
it's awesome. Like, it's fun. It's gorgeous up there. Yeah, you could like, Indigenous people are very welcoming. You would just be loved if you just reach out to someone. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I attend events, a lot of events through work, and there's always a land acknowledgement. And that's great. I don't know how you feel about land acknowledgements, but I'm like, that's great. I like that there's a land acknowledgement. But I always want to go and ask the person who said it, have you ever been to a reserve? It's as simple as going for a drive, enjoy some beautiful scenery, get out of your car, get some gas, say hello to people. I mean, like in McHale Mall, you can go and grab like the awesome fleece blankets. My son and I like went up there a few weeks ago, and he was like, it's gonna be blanket, right? Like, we just go up. I mean, we also go up to visit family all the time, but yeah. One thing I did in Discover Lloydminster is this year, in our guide, and I'll give you a copy of it, is I got Clint Chokin's help with a bit of a Cree language page. So just basic greetings like Tansei, Menanto, like whatever, all of the words, right? Weather, what the weather is, just cute little write-ups. We included a powwow etiquette page. I always get asked by people, am I allowed to go to a powwow? Because they know, like, I'm Indigenous and I'm go to Onion Lake a lot. And I'm like, yeah, you're absolutely allowed to go to a powwow. Anyone can attend. I just say it's drug and alcohol free zone. It's a ceremony. So don't go there under the influence or take anything up there. So we did powwow etiquette, we did a Cree language page, we did a powwow trail where I just grabbed a few dates of powwows that I know annually happen on the same weekend every year. And we did a map of that and like just filled it up with awesome stuff. And we did a bit of Indigenous history of the area too, which was awesome. So as an Indigenous person, I think that I had a platform to teach people, and I have a boss who is very excited, and she's working on her, truth and reconciliation journey as well. And as a community that is surrounded by Indigenous communities and we're on Treaty 6 land, I just thought, why wouldn't we have Indigenous representation in the guide, right? So
and so like it's such like a I would never think of how much of an impact that would actually have.
Yeah, like my auntie's like, give me a copy of that, that's so cool. Like it's representation, like you have to. We even have this year we included a Filipino page. I had my friend Kim Caparel help me out, just do a little bit of Filipino language, like general greetings, and a little bit of history, like some demographics of how many, like our Filipino community is huge in Lloydminster, and they're awesome. Like they're awesome, and they just had their Pinoy festival like last month. So yeah, I want to include more of that. Like Lloydminster's diverse, so we need to start showing it.
I think like the conversation of representation often misses out like the little things like that and how big of a difference they actually make.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you, I don't know, I think it's crazy when you never see those, right?
No, we're seeing it more now, like thanks to social media, right? Like, and everyone follows Notorious Cree, like James, right? Everyone follows him. Seeing Patrick Mitswing go to the Super Bowl and dance, like that's crazy. Like he's from Meadow Lake area. Like how cool is that? And then yeah, he was in Paris. Like he's all over doing things, and it's about building bridges, and I think he's a bridge builder. Like you have to build a connection between communities, between people, and that's what my mom did, and that's what I want to do. And
so you're doing it 100%. Like
just keep doing
making the guide, like that's such a every visitor who stops in and gets a guide is gonna see like, oh, like like they might not have known they were on like Treaty 6 land or like
Yeah, we did our land acknowledgement at the beginning. So there's welcome letters. We have the City of Lloydminster, so our mayor welcomed it, and we have the Lloydminster Chamber of Commerce as a partner, and so their president always does a letter. And I got Chief Henry Lewis to do a letter from Onion Lake because we're on Treaty 6 land. So it's those 3 welcome letters, and then our land acknowledgement, and we use my bison photo there. And the land acknowledgement was actually done by the students at Lakeland College, the Indigenous students there.
It's another example of just the community coming together.
Yeah, like Lloydminster is, if someone's doing it, everyone wants to do it as well. Like it's good, it's really good here. Like I'm proud of Lloydminster. I look forward to seeing where we're going from here and how we're growing together. And hello, are you?
You're also wearing a microphone?
Are you podcasting?
I'm podcasting.
He said he loves the mural and it's crazy beautiful.
Thank you. No, I can hear him perfectly.
Okay, good.
It actually turned out better than we even had planned. It's it's better, and it's because we included so many amazing people, right?
do you want to share a little bit about like the journey to creating the mural? Because we got a little background about, quite a few years of work to put into it. If you want to share about how it started and how it all came to be.
So originally I had approached the CEO of Lloydminster Region Health Foundation at the time. It was Malcolm Radke, and I just was like, hey Malcolm, I phoned him. Or I left a voice note. One of the two, because that's what I do. And I'm just like, hey, what if we made your building nicer? And we could put like a big mural. And he's like, yeah, sure. I think it's like 60 feet out there. And that'd be great. Let me take it to my board. And I was like, sweet, cool. And then I actually went and measured like a month later, and I was like, hey Malcolm, it's 132 feet. Oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, so like prices will be a little different. He actually had suggested Truth and Reconciliation, which I hadn't thought about it. I wanted to do like inclusion and love, and then Stephanie stepped into the role, Stephanie Monroe, for LRHF, and she took it to her board, and they're like, we really like truth and reconciliation, so important to us, like, and so important for our community right now. I was like, I agree, it is. However, I cannot do that alone at all. And then I phoned Randi, and she invited me to a Heart of Treaty 6 meeting, and she said, Brandi, this is about building bridges. We can do this. And I went to the Heart of Treaty 6 meeting, and Randi was right, as usual. And it was so beautifully received, and I had shared something very personal in that meeting. And it has a lot of big words in it, like racism and separatism and topics that you don't usually bring up in a day-to-day conversation with people. And it sparked something in the circle meeting, and a lot of people got up and shared their experiences, and we really realized, like, we do need this. We do need a symbol and pillar of hope. And then Sarah and Tasha, who are part owners of Home Hardware, they're like, we'll step up and support this. And then Randi had shot the first powwow in Lloydminster, and I had seen these gorgeous photographs, and it like sparked that creative magic. I was like, Randi, this is it. This is, and we need to meet, like, and now. And she's like, okay, let's meet this week. And we sat down, and I was like, what if, like, we use your photographs, great, but what if, like, we do this together? What if you paint the mural with me? And she's like, I've never painted a mural before. I'm like, I'll show you. And she's like, and I'm like, we're gonna do it on like a scissor lift. And she's like, I'm afraid of heights. I was like, oh, no worries.
It's fine.
It's fine. And honestly, like, I was so scared myself. I too had never driven a scissor lift, but I wanted to take on a project, and I had faith that it would just work out. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you do just have to not overthink things and know that they'll not only work out, but they'll work out better than you thought possible, better than you planned, mm-hmm. better than anything we could have fathomed at the time. And honestly, like, sometimes we would only paint like a flower in a day because we had 32 people pop by and telling us stories, drawing us pictures, eating food, and bringing us drinks. It was the most powerful project I've ever done in my whole entire life, and it couldn't have happened without all those great people, like Stephanie Monroe, like so many conversations, phone conversations, like talking me through the fear, talking us through process, getting donors, like, and then Randi and I, like, hashing it out, and then the great mentees, and Michaela from Typeset Creative, who was a designer, like, all these people just came, and a lot of people were asking me if we needed volunteers we started, like all these other great people came on board, and it was like one of those things that was just meant to happen, and it did.
We said that before though, if you're doing something and you have like that good drive, then it's just gonna work out.
Stephanie says, like, in our heart of hearts, if we know that we're doing something good, that's all that matters.
What was the most fun part of the whole thing?
The whole thing was epic fun. It was a blast. Laughing, smiling, eating, drinking, like Starbucks. The matcha was like hooked up to our veins like an acne. Went from sun up to sundown.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Honestly, it was good from start to finish. There was no bad moments. Like, it was just like a high of wonderfulness.
Like to the point where it was hard to fall asleep at night.
Yeah.
Because there was all that you were there. It's very loud. So all the sounds was crazy. But it was the connecting with people, hey?
I have 2 questions for both of you. Okay. So what is the favorite aspect of the work that you do?
Feeling we're both gonna say the same thing, and it's the people that we meet.
Oh my gosh, no way!
Twinning! It's the connections. I want to make a connection with you because of what I do. Same with you.
Yeah, it's the people. The people the whole time, the people who were involved, the relationships and friendships that came out of it, but also witnessing what it meant, especially to the Indigenous community, who were not only like yelling and supportive, but like at first they were like in shock.
Yeah, they were like, wait, what? Like they drive by and they'd be like, they'd have to like do triple takes.
See themselves represented in such a way.
Yeah.
And in a profound, respected, iconic, meaningful, thoughtful way. And that's the point. It's supposed to break invisible barriers and boundaries and make everyone feel welcome.
From this project that you both worked on, how has that inspired like new creative goals that you've set for yourself moving forward?
Fuck, how can you top this?
I know. I was like, so anyways, here's a picture of this lady named Edna, and she might be phase 2, and it might be this. Like, but yeah.
Yeah, no, there is talk of secondary phases for either the east side or the parking garage like complex. What are the next steps? Honestly, I just take little steps day to day toward bigger creative dreams and having faith in that it'll be something, and I don't know what it is, but I know it will be wonderful. I do have big goals of like a retreat center, therapy center, and actually I'm donating a large sum of my artist fee back into creative trauma programming into our community. Our next steps is figuring out, because I was like, oh, this creative trauma programming, like, again, another thing that, like, I don't quite know exactly what it is yet, but I kind of know. And so it's just like writing that programming, finding the right individuals, supporting in the right way, and figuring out the logistics out.
Can I ask what advice the two of you would give to other communities looking to put together a project like this?
Hire us. No, I'm kidding. We're mobile.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard because there were so many, and ultimately, from that point of coming out of that fear-based mindset, ultimately what shifted for me was, if I don't do this, no one is going to, like, glue all these pieces together. And that's what, like, tipped me over that fence of, like, this will be so challenging. Like, it will be one of the greatest challenges, having this all pulled off in a cohesive, successful way. And I think like advice for other communities is finding the right individuals and knowing that you can't do this alone and you shouldn't. And the right people will come and the wrong people will fall away if you just keep every day stepping toward that ultimate like vision and goal of what you see in your community, the energy around it, not necessarily seeing exactly what it is, but having faith it will turn out in the end better than you initially envisioned. And that's all, that energy and the people, the things that actually matter. That's what you focus on. Everything will just, totally come together in the best way ever, just like it did for us.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Question. So you rolled like the fine details?
Like on the portraits?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I rolled with like a roller attached to a long stick, and then our lift broke partway through. I mean, I guess bad things did happen, but like it wasn't.
It didn't stop us.
No, it didn't. Ain't nothing gonna break my stride.
Yeah.
No, it was fine. Like we were so high on life that like literally nothing brought us down. But I brushed on and rolled on those, all of that, and that comes from like thousands of portraits.
Yeah.
Like that's
Follow
right?
her page, Brandi Hofer Studios. It's amazing.
Of course.
Yeah.
After that.
Like I tell other people how to draw portraits. I have like a special technique that I've honed over 2 decades. Like that, I love. I can rock out a 22-foot portrait one day.
Yeah. Oh, crazy.
One
She
day.
did a portrait of my
Took
mom.
me a day.
Yeah, each one took her a day. Like, she's incredible. And she did a beautiful portrait of my mom, too, for me.
Really?
Yeah,
Bonus, when you're fast at portraits, you get to chat more with people.
yeah. While other people roll. No.
Well, other people do. They put that color there.
Yeah.
Not good.
Fix that line. Brandy's a perfectionist. I am not.
You know, you,
She-
like,
it was
so
great.
it was a big deal that like I wanted it to be the best.
And it is, and you have to have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we did. Yeah, it was great. It does help when you have a team doing like color blocking, because then you're not, that's so many hours of work that you're saving when you have multiple people installing in that, especially with that 2-week time frame. And it was really important that Randi and I were there to talk about the project with the community. Like people were looking for support. People were looking to tell their stories. Why this was important to them. Like they were seeing themselves in it, or they were healing.
Yeah.
How can other communities work towards including more space and holding more space for Indigenous voices, artists, and storytellers?
Yeah, I honestly think that it is one of the most important aspects of, well, first of all, culture is so beautiful, and I've learned so much about it in the past 2 years. Like, it is, Randi said I could be an honorary member.
It's what we do.
How respecting the earth and telling that story, and more people who know and learn, and that's the thing. We should always be learning. We should always be bettering ourselves. And the fact is that those stories need to be heard and told, and art and creativity is a way to tell a story. And I think business owners and municipalities, and they should leave extra space and find those people and put it out there so more people can learn, and those divisions and those lines become fuzzy and they become non-existent, and we can learn to not only respect but accept other people's cultures with brings a voice, it builds that bridge. It is an easy way to bridge those subjects that are very scary. They're not fun to talk about. They're not fun to know, and so people avoid them. And we can't avoid it. They need to be they need to be acknowledged, and so many people need to heal, and that's very, very important, I believe, as a country. And we should take pride in the Indigenous culture and land that it is so beautiful, and it is such a huge part of our country, and the people here. Creativity is so powerful, and I think people discount the impact it can make until they see it, until they feel it, and I think it's just catching fire. It's caught greater fire in other places around the world, but I feel like in Saskatchewan in particular, there is such a huge Indigenous community that need to be supportive and heard, and hopefully, like, I see a lot of Indigenous creatives because I'm like obsessed with muralists and stuff online and in my Instagram, and I'm constantly fed that. So I hope to see more people confidently emerging and stepping up, and that's why we ran the Indigenous Mentorship Program, to empower young people to share their creative voices, opinions, gifts, and storytell through their creativity. And that's why I have like educational classes and stuff to just help people like figure out those tough things that either make them stop right away because they're like, oh, I don't know if I can do this, those hesitations and fears, and then the logistics of connecting to community, finding the right people, finding the funding, writing the right proposal letters. Like, there's a lot of aspects, but I honestly, it feels so good, and I can figure out how to get all the other stuff I need in life. So try to empower people as much as possible.
What advice would you give to someone who's looking to start on their own creative journey?
Oh gosh, I would say show up for yourself and your creativity every day, consistently every day. Work it into your routine, and I'm not talking like hours, I'm talking 15 minutes. And it's so addicting, and it will grow and expand, and it will add up to these giant projects or these cool and exciting collections, or your sketchbook full of work that you can look through years later, or it took you to a place where you met these cool people, or you weren't expecting to do murals, but someone asked you to paint a restaurant in Costa Rica, and then now I'm talking about Kevin Lito, by the way, he's a huge muralist. His like friends in like Costa Rica asked him to paint a mural on their restaurant wall, and now he's one of the biggest muralists in the world. It's like your creative gift can lead you to places unknown. So if you give it time, if you honor it every day, it just can take you on the most extraordinary journey, and ultimately seeing your everyday ordinary as extraordinary.
Thank you. What about you, Randi?
Just like what she said is just so crazy, because I do photography like almost every day, and I've just been chipping away at it for years and years and years, and now I have like 2 of my portraits are these 22-foot portraits.
Yeah,
It's
crazy.
nuts.
Yeah, it's like these small habits that just you just never know, and you discount the small things, right? But honestly, they do add up. They take you on these amazing journeys in life, and so show up for yourself, show up for your creativity, especially because creativity isn't just like this powerful magical thing. It is, but it also alleviates your day-to-day stresses. So it's very therapeutic. It can get you through a depressive state. It activates the effort-driven reward system in your brain, right? So doing any sort of creative work just a way to connect with people in the end. I love creating, but I'm a little bit extroverted, so I love murals because of the connection and the conversation and the way it can inspire like massively.
Or like heal, right?
Exactly.
Like people just come to us and just like let out these stories, their hardships or these beautiful stories, or it was just like, how lucky are we that our creativity that we feed into every day like that landed us up in a situation like this, right? And it's like, there's not a lot of jobs in the world that lead you to something like this. And it's not like we're millionaires, but like I feel rich right now. I do. Like the connections and the, like, yeah, community, the sense of accomplishment, the fact that we operated on like what, 4 hours of sleep every night and then work, like it was, we were just rejuvenated still though. I don't know, it was wild. Like, yeah, it's a cool experience.
What do you think your child self would say if they could see the work, like the finished project?
Oh my god, I don't know. My child self was drawing pictures of mountains and sunshines and rivers thinking I was gonna live in the mountains. And just live in nature. I don't know.
Yeah, it's, you know what? I feel like I would have never even, I couldn't even fathom this. There's no way, there was no example, there was no, like the internet wasn't a thing. I never saw an example of a woman taking on a business or career to this scale, and being so interactive in a community. Like there's no way I would have even fathomed. Like I didn't grow up with money. My mom single-handedly raised 3 kids. Like there was no, like I almost make in a month what she made in a year. Like it's crazy. Like there's nothing, like I could have never even imagined what we just did.
No.
It's so crazy. And to think about it like makes me just like leave. I would be like, who is that badass? That's me? Like no, like I was drawing horses and like I didn't even have my own drawing paper. I was drawing them in an atlas. Like it was just like an old book in a cupboard. Like I'm serious. Yeah, this it's just I can't even fathom. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's cool.
Toppling the patriarchy.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing so much about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for like letting me phone on like a robot.
It's us.
I feel like I was on a talking roll, so this is like a natural.
You're always on a talking roll, Brandi. Like this is always.
Set down my mic and kept going.
Yeah, it's awesome. Picked
I
right
was
up.
talking about the power of creativity. It was hilarious.
Oh, that's awesome.
Do you want to talk about that at all here?
The biggest one is, and I'm super obsessed with self-help. And I love Jen Sincero, and I've read the books that like she recommends, and it's what you choose to surround yourself with. So that means you have to be really conscious of it. Like every day it's a choice. Because you can either feel empowered or you can feel like a victim, and you can fall into victimhood, and that just makes you helpless. And when you choose to surround yourself by the choice of that level, that mindfulness level of anything is possible if you see it, and if I don't know, I can learn how. If I don't have the tools, I am smart enough and able enough to learn how. And so immersing yourself in inspirational music, books, getting rid of toxic relationships, podcasts, music, movies, eating well, good food, taking care of yourself, that is the hugest one to creative success, and not only creative success, but success in life. And of course, when I talk about self-care, like that is actually number one, and it takes a lot to even, that's like the bottom and the foundation of who you are. It's like if way. You have to build up that foundation of knowing who you are and how to take care of yourself, and that includes like sleeping, eating well, moving your body. And then when that is strong, then you start doing the things you love, surrounding yourself by these amazing with these amazing people, and that's when you start to thrive creatively and in life, and you find love and connection and support and just like this abundance mindset, and yeah, that's what it takes to get there. So I help people through. So how do you expand who you are, and how do people around you expand who you are? Are they helping you grow or learn? How are they affecting your environment? And how do they make you feel good, bad, inspired? And so thinking about those relationships, and whether they should be in your life or not, because a lot of people are in those situations, and the immediate thing would be to get themselves out. And there are people to help. And it's like a season of your life that is meant to strengthen you for later when you are thriving, or when you need to get through something. You will have the tools at the ready because you survived something. A lot about creativity and how it empowers you. I always see it. I see it in young people. I see it with the people I teach and the people I mentor. That creativity gives you this confidence. It's like it's a connector, and it, like, for example, our mentees, we took them out for lunch, and they were so shy, they barely could order their food. We're like trying to help them, because we're all type A, women yelling down from scissor lifts at the traffic, and they're like, like they've been like, hey, how are you today? Good.
Covering their mouths, super shy.
And by the end of the whole experience, because we empowered them through creativity, we took them out for lunch again. They were ordering their meals, they were confident in who they were, and this is in a 2-week period, so it's pretty crazy, right? And they were talking to the public, they executed their designs, we left parts of the wall for them to tell their stories, and that was a surprise. When they showed up the first day, I was like, this is your spot on the wall. They were just like, what? And so we took them through that process, and it was pretty cool to see them grow throughout. And I do see it when I teach. For example, we started the Art Academy, and at the beginning we had students not talking, some almost at the point where they were about to throw up, barely could get like words out of their mouths, like, but by the end of it, it created such confidence. They were having full conversations with me. They developed new friendships with their peer base and peer groups. They were confident in themselves through their creative gifts, and it's so discounted in society, that, and the education systems, like, art is really, it's just such a powerful tool that these children need, you know?
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to stop in virtually here.
Yeah, thanks, Brandi.
To meet you both.
You too. No, thank you so much for sharing.
Come home to me. We're always like, we're best friends. 2 weeks on a scissor lift together.
Big virtual hug.
Big virtual hug. This is Ray, and he's from Onion Lake. This is Michaela, that's Typeset created, the designer that shows. There's Brandi, there's myself, and there's the other Ray, who her grandma was involved in the 60s scoop, so they're just reconnecting with their indigenous roots. They learned that their family's all from La Ranche, and they went up there and connected, and they were like, we love you! And then we talked about like how she's white passing and I'm white passing. Like, isn't it weird when you're like, you know you're indigenous, but like other people don't know you're indigenous? And then weird conversations happen, or you correct people and they're like, well, I'm not talking about you. My kids are like, we know we're indigenous. They know, like you know, like I smudge all the time. We go medicine picking every year, but I mean, like with my family, and it's just like they know things. My son grew up in Meadow Lake, and we were at a hockey game there, and a lot of kids on the opposing team with like traditional hair, long hair and ponytail or braid or whatever. And one of his teammates made a comment like, "Oh, it's just a bunch of girls," and he was just like, "Okay, it's called traditional hair. Just stop it." Like he just called it right out in the dressing room, and I was so proud of him for doing that because it's hard to do. Like that's really hard to do, and for him to be 14 and just do it. He said when it happens, he feels it in his chest gets hot. And I'm like, yeah, it's like you're having a reaction to it. And he's like, it just makes me so mad because like my grandma and my mom, like my family's Indigenous. He's like, and I'm Indigenous. I just don't look it, right? I'm just like, yeah, I get it. I live that. People make comments all the time and you just, there's some people who I know there's no point and I'm not gonna do it because I don't have the energy to do it. But then there's other people where I'm like, nope, and I call it out. It's work.
How proud are you to see him carry that pride and?
Oh man, I'm so proud of my kids. They're just like, they are such good kids. I know all of the moms say that about other kids, as we should, because they should be our everything, and my kids they're my everything. I adore that they just stand up for that. Like it's awesome. It makes me very proud. They talk about how comments like that affects them and it makes them angry and they like feel it, and then they're intimidated though when we go up to Onion Lake and they're like, we're so white compared to everybody. I'm like, it was always intimidating to me too, but like it's fine. You're accepted and you're loved here, and you know, yeah. They want to, like, my older one wants to like learn to drum and stuff. He's like, I just love how it feels. He's like, I want to do that. So I'll have to help him out, figure it out.
Has he grown out his hair?
It's a mullet right now. So no, my other one's hair he combs it back. It's long. His hair was long before. Yeah, he could put it up in a top knot.
It took me a long time to grow the courage to do it.
Yeah, right. Because people just make comments like all these weird stereotypes. It's just so crazy. But
if your ancestors could see the work you're doing now, what do you think they would say?
tap way. Right on. Like, yeah, I think they'd be proud. I think it's like we're doing the foundations of this bridge work, right? Like, it's not always easy. It's not always fun and beautiful and whatever. But I don't know, I just picture it on the other side. We'll be better for it. Yeah. I think my mom's proud. I think Brandi's mom's proud. I think they're both beaming down on us that day, the whole 2 weeks.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's been the whole photography journey though.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. I know my mom's proud, so she shows up for all of us kids in really crazy ways. Like, especially with my niece, I'm like, come on, Mom, let's get the gold. And like her last year of volleyball, she gets gold at NAG. Like, seriously? Come on.
It's huge.
Huge.
Well, it's so nice listening to you and your back and forth brain. How you can really tell that the two of you really meshed well and had like so much fun with the project.
So fun. We didn't really know each other. Like, I remember her working at the Root years ago, a little restaurant that my friend ran here. It's not running anymore, but she was a waitress there, and I was like, man, I remember her having like this cool lipstick. I'm like, your lipstick is awesome. Like, she's like, it's just a lipstick, thank you. Like, she was so sweet about it and was like not expecting a compliment, and then like, yeah, just knowing her, seeing her around. She lost her mom, I lost my mom. There's just a lot of things that we have in common too, and then we're both creatives, and yeah, we bring out this little kind of driving force in each other, I've learned, and I really like that, so.
It's awesome. Best kind of friends.
Yeah.
Be my bestie. Smile.